Hey solos, so you're going to Walt Disney World all by yourself and you want to know if you should stay or visit the Polynesian resort. Well, solo spoiler, yes, most definitely. I don't know about staying, although someone will talk a little bit about that, but you should definitely visit the Polynesian Hotel. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World, now in its second year. We're continuing our series on deluxe resorts today, and we are talking about an OG resort. We are talking about the Polynesian Resort, which is both like the oldest and newest kinda hotel on Disney property, and it is definitely one that you should go and check out. And not only am I going to talk a little bit about it, but I have brought on someone to do a little solo story about her experience staying at the Polynesian Resort, which is so fantastic, and that is Mikki, who you met on the podcast in June, and that will be at the end of the episode, and I just can't wait for you to hear what she has to say about it. As always, the information to follow Mikki and to see all her reels and her photos and all of that stuff. And actually, she's been posting quite a lot about the Polynesian Resort over the last couple days. That is down in the episode description below, as well as all of my social media account and all that information. However, although I am the most active on Instagram, I haven't been active on anything lately. I was at Disney last weekend, and then I immediately came home and was a full-time auntie. My 12-year-old nephew, which is the son of my cousin, came down, and we had such a great time. We went to the art gallery, and we went to see a musical, and we went to the Titanic exhibit. And if you are a Patreon member, you might remember that I went to the Titanic exhibit with somebody from this podcast, and our reflection was a video reflection from the Titanic exhibit. So if you wanted to see that, you could go and take a look on Patreon, but it was really cool to bring a 12-year-old there. But with that said, I haven't been on any social media that much. I also said that I just came back from Disney, and I did, which was amazing. And I wanted to put up the bonus episode that recaps my trip this weekend. Or this past weekend. So I recorded it, but I have just been too tired to edit it. So it is coming. There's actually going to be at least 2 episodes a week coming for the rest of August. Some of it will be on the public feed, like my recap of my Disney trip, and then some of it will be on Patreon, like the interview with a solo DVC owner, talking about what her experience is like owning Disney Vacation Club as a solo. So I will let you know all about that as those episodes are coming out. So I've said I've been tired and behind on social media and stuff like that, but I do try to prioritize Patreon. So you can become a Patreon member. It's really inexpensive, $4 American, $5.50 Canadian, and you get reflections on all the episodes, which sometimes can be a whole episode in and of itself. I've been doing monthly bonus episodes too for paid Patreon members, and I have also put things like pictures of my trip and stuff like that on Patreon for all members, whether you're paid or you're free members, because I like to keep my grid, my Instagram grid, nice and clean. And I do find that things like stories and stuff get really lost on Instagram if it's not like in the moment. So I put those things on Patreon, and you should be able to peruse those pictures now. Now, I will tell you one more secret. This episode about Polynesian, I actually recorded before my trip, and it was really interesting to record that version. Not this version. It was really interesting to record that version because I kind of got like lost in the history and the haunting and legacy of this particular hotel. And when I went to edit it today, I just thought, I don't know, I just was like, well, first it was super long. And I don't know, it didn't seem to fit, and I wanted to do something a little bit peppier. But I'm not going to lose those recordings, but you can let me know if you want to hear that, and maybe I'll release it on Patreon in a couple of months or whatever. Around Halloween, to be like, ooh, post-World War II tiki culture and how it haunts the footprint of the Polynesian. Actually, that sounds amazing. So you can let me know if you want that episode. Now, you know that you can listen to this on Apple, on Spotify, and on YouTube, but what has been really cool and kind of organic that has happened is that on YouTube, because it's easier to make comments, people have been going over to YouTube and commenting on all the episodes. So please go over to comment on all of the episodes, or all of the episodes, sure. But this episode in particular, Polynesian is known for a lot of really good food. So if you could go onto YouTube and tell me and us where your favorite place to go and eat at the Polynesian is, that would be super awesome. And then after you do that, obviously go back and check in a couple days and see what other people have to say. I'm really, really curious, even more curious now that there's a new lounge open. And I'm really excited to see what people have to say. Also, I've seen those YouTube subscriptions growing slowly. Thank you. I don't know why that number bugs me so much, but when we get to 100, I will do a video episode. So that'd be really cool. Speaking of video episodes, so on my last trip, like I said, the summary of that trip will go on the public feed, but I also did a VIP tour. I was invited by a friend of the podcast, not capital I invited, like by Disney or whatever, but invited by a friend of the podcast. And so because a VIP tour is not really something that you would do solo, I'm not going to do a public episode on that, but that will be on Patreon, and that's going to go up around Labor Day, aka my birthday. Start thinking of presents now. Okay, anything I'm missing? No, let's get into it. All right. So apparently, according to the last time I did this episode, I had a lot to say about the Polynesian, and I am going to try to keep this episode much lighter. Less talking about post-World War II hauntings of tiki culture and the islands of Polynesia. And I'm also going to keep it a little bit shorter. So if you want that long, heavier, more thoughtful version, let me know and I'll see what I can do in editing that one. But we'll just get into basics. There are 3.5 Disney resort categories: value, moderate, deluxe, and then deluxe villas. That's what I consider the half. I did a whole episode last week on the deluxe villas, or the DVC. So deluxe villas are just the rooms that are more connected to the timeshare program than kind of regular hotel rooms, but you can book both types of rooms, and you can also book a room through the Disney deluxe villas through like third-party point rental type systems. So I mentioned that in particular in this episode because, like I said, the Polynesian is both the oldest and the newest Disney resort, and that's because it was one of 2 opening day hotels. So it opened October 1st, 1971, along with Magic Kingdom and the Contemporary. So that monorail system was built with the Polynesian in mind. And also, there is a brand new tower that is right next to the original Polynesian building, and that is part of the DVC program. And what's interesting is that everyone I've spoken to, I found it really hard to get a room, but Farah Roshan, who I spoke to last week about the Riviera and then Old Key West, as well as Saratoga. I'm speaking to her next week about Grand Floridian and Solo Spoiler. She also talks about the Polynesian Tower. So that was really cool. It was great that we got so many in, even though I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm so respectful of your time. Let's only talk about these 2. And then she's like, great, but I have so much to say about these other ones. And that's why people who come on the podcast are the best. So I really think that the type of buildings that you can see with the older Polynesian and the newer Polynesian really reflects the changing nature of the way that Disney understands resorts and understands kind of theming, especially cultural theming. So without getting into it too much, the Polynesian Resort was originally called the Polynesian Island Resort, and it was supposed to be one of many type of hotel that was kind of like Epcot. Like one was going to be Venetian, one was going to be Asian, that represent different regions or different kind of cultural representations, at least to Americanize. Those American eyes but also Americanized. Those other hotels didn't happen, but you can kind of see the layout of the Polynesian as replicated in other places, and that's kind of what they thought. And you can see some of those old pictures on Disney accounts that focus on history. All of the different buildings around the Polynesian resort, the original Polynesian resort, are all named after individual islands in the Polynesian area. The main area, that big area that most visitors to the hotel would go to, is called the Longhouse, and that was supposed to be a gathering place. Well, like the idea is that there's all these islands and then there's this big gathering place. And so you can kind of see that through the layout of the resorts. What's interesting about the construction of these different kind of rooms is that it was a modular construction in which things were like slid into a larger frame. And it's very interesting. It's hard for me to explain, not necessarily having like an architectural head. But if you think back to like the late 60s, early 70s, and this kind of futuristic mod sensibility and the way that they really wanted to change the world through a whole bunch of different types of like architecture and culture and things like that, that's really the impetus behind some of the construction of this particular type of hotel. This modular type hotel that was supposed to, revolutionize, etc., etc., etc. Again, it's hard for me to explain it because I don't fully understand it other than like knowing it's cool and knowing it was unique. And if I remember correctly, it didn't actually work the way that they wanted to. And so it didn't take off, but it really does represent, again, this approach to building that Disney was really trying to innovate. There's multiple ways to get to the Polynesian resort. So one way is to take the monorail, and you can take the monorail from Magic Kingdom or Contemporary or Grand Floridian, I guess, right to the Polynesian. It will let you out on the second floor of a 2-story lobby. You're also right next to the TTC, which means something different in Toronto, by the way, and you can actually walk there right from there. If you're at the Magic Kingdom, you can also walk right to the Polynesian. Now, it was difficult to walk to the Polynesian for a while they were building that new tower, but it is much easier now. So you can walk from Magic Kingdom to Grand Floridian to the Polynesian to the TTC if you really wanted to. And I have done the walk from Magic Kingdom to the Polynesian, and it's one of my favorite things to do while I'm at Disney. You can also take a boat from Magic Kingdom to the Polynesian. It will stop at Grand Floridian. Again, that's also one of my favorite things to do at Disney. And of course, you can also drive. If you are trying to go from the Polynesian to Hollywood Studios or to Animal Kingdom, there is bus transportation. But from Epcot and Grand Floridian, there are no buses. It's either the monorail, like that you can get in the TTC, or walking, or the boat, or the monorail, which, I mean, having the option of monorail, boat, and walking to your hotel is pretty cool. So one reason why you should go to the Polynesian or to stay at the Polynesian is because of its proximity to Magic Kingdom and the way that they were built at the same time. They were built as part of the same vision for Walt Disney World Resort. So if you are a Disney history fan, then it is cool to go to that resort and see that vision for part of the hotel. And I am really stopping myself right now from, again, talking about the haunted nature of post-World War II Polynesian tiki culture. But it's really interesting because I will just say you can really see in that hotel, again, a different type of footprint for how they imagined space was going to be used by people at the hotel. So, for example, when you come into the lobby, it's not like you are going to have an elevator that's super close to you. The idea is, of course, that people are going to take the stairs because accessibility and the convenience of an elevator, especially for people with luggage, wasn't at the top of people's mind. And then when you go up on the second floor where they have a restaurant and a bar and a lounge, the lounge seating isn't really that large because they were expecting people to spend time at the bar or go right into the restaurant. Whereas now lounges are becoming a lot more popular on Disney property. In a couple of weeks, the new Beacon Barrel Lounge will be opening at the Magic Kingdom, the new Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge. I know it was tough for people to get reservations. I obviously will not have a reservation. I'm not going, but as everybody is, I think I'm really looking forward to seeing those pictures. So for the sake of brevity, what I really want to do is to talk about all of the different food options. So when you go visit, you might have a spot in mind that you want to get a snack or a meal or a drink or like a whole big thing. So let's go over all of the different food options at Polynesian. Now, I'm going to pretend that you were getting to the Polynesian by boat from Magic Kingdom. I think that is a good way to start. Because when I have started the other way, I talk too much about haunting. So we're going to start the other way. You have arrived at the Polynesian Resort by boat from Magic Kingdom, and you are going to walk along the boardwalk, and you're going to see the beach, and you're going to see the pool bar and all of that stuff. It is a really cool pool. It has a water slide that goes down from a volcano. Very, very cool. However, it is very strict security, so there's no way that you can even see that water slide unless that you are staying there. Now, with the pool bars at this hotel and all of the hotels, there's often like two different entrances. So there's an entrance to get to the pool bar and then an entrance to get to the pool. So technically you can go and visit the pool bar without staying at the pool. I do that a lot because I do love a good pool and I do love a good pool bar. I've never done it here because I actually find it really inhospitable. I find that the security is really tight and you might know from other things that I have posted online that I am not opposed to going and like looking at different places that maybe don't seem like you're supposed to go. But when it is very clear there are rules and security and all that stuff, I am also a rule follower. So I've never hung out at that pool bar. When I've looked at the menu, it seems kind of mid. Plus, there's actually cooler places to eat at the Polynesian where you're kind of indoor-outdoor, which is really, for me, one of the appeals about a pool bar. So if you keep walking up towards the main longhouse, you're going to go up a few stairs and you are going to get into like a bit of a hallway. And that's actually a quote unquote secret bar. It's called Trader Sam's and it is a tiki bar. The door is closed because again, it's kind of a secret. And when you go in it, it is this very cool tiki bar. It's a very dark. There are like projections, not projections, but like screens that look like windows, and every once in a while there's a thunderstorm, and like it's very, very cool in there. You can get some great drinks, you can get some nice little things to eat, all of that stuff, but it is small, which is not a huge deal, but it's also open seating, which means you can sit anywhere, which might be fun if you're there with a friend, but you might feel awkward if you are going solo. If you just kind of go up to a table where there's a whole bunch of people sitting, you might feel awkward. And so I would go and like look in there to see if you're comfortable sitting. But as a solo, I don't know how comfortable I'd be hanging out there necessarily. But do not worry, because of the popularity of this quote-unquote secret bar, they have also opened a patio space where it's just like normal outdoor tables, and that's Trader Sam's Tiki Terrace, and that's often much easier to get a table. It is very like traditional type of seating. You're not sharing tables with anyone. You're outside, but it's shaded, and you have the same menu as you do at the Grog Grotto, like the inside bar. And so I think as a solo, unless you really do love hanging out in dark spaces with strangers, then the Tiki Terrace might be a better option for you. And it certainly is a lot more fun than the pool bar. So that is one place you could check out. Of course, check out the Grog's Grotto as well. Definitely just like look in at the very least. But I do think it might feel awkward going solo. unless you're like big into like drinking culture and things like that. And then you might love sitting with a whole bunch of people and making new friends. And that sounds wonderful for you, not me. Okay, so continuing in that area that you just walked in, you're also going to see the quick service restaurant for the Polynesian, which is Captain Cook's. It's one of my favorite quick service restaurants in like across all of the properties. Now, you might think quick service is quick service, but actually all the deluxe resorts have slightly elevated menus at their quick service restaurants for about the same price that you can get at the value and moderate resorts. They also have like cooler things in the coolers. So I remember I was there when there was a hurricane in December, and I got this really cool snack pack of like pita chips and oranges and a couple other things, and that wasn't available at Pop Century where I was staying. So I bought like 2 or 3 of those, and I just hung out in my hotel room as the parks were closing early. And Captain Cook's is a great place to go check out. It can be busy when it's like the main hours, but it is still a great place to go. I do find it a little tight, but there's also some outdoor seating as well. If you continue walking, you are going to get to the first floor of the lobby, and it's really beautiful. You'll see there is the reception on one side, there's a gift store on the other side, and if you look towards the water, like if you look towards where you came, you're also going to see a door that goes outside to the pool, but that outside also goes to the place that you can get Dole Whip, the pineapple lanny. Now, I have been there. Now, I have an allergy to pineapple, and I was really hoping that there would be like all the flavors of Dole Whip, but no, it was just pineapple. So I didn't get anything. You can also get a Dole Whip with some rum, which again, if you were into that, then you are going to love it. As a non-drinker and someone with a pineapple allergy, I felt like it was a character in a video game. Like I got to the location I had been looking for, and it was like, wah, 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 and I had to turn around and find something else. But there is that option to get Dole Whip as well. It used to be one of the only places you could get Dole Whip outside of Magic Kingdom. Now there is Swirls on the Water, which is at Disney Springs, and there's also a couple different Dole Whip areas at different resorts, like I was talking about last week with the Old Key West Resort and the Key Lime Dole Whip. But this is where you can get OG Pineapple Dole Whip. If you go back in the lobby and then you go upstairs, you are going to see quite a few different options for food. One of them is the Kona Cafe, which isn't really a cafe, it's a restaurant. Actually, there is a little place to get coffee right next to it, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the restaurant. It is a sushi restaurant, not just sushi, but I've only gotten sushi there, and it is some of the best sushi I have ever had. It is so good. I have often been there when I've had a migraine, and like the food has been so good. I'm like, I'll just stay and eat through it, which is pretty, which is a testament to how good the food is. I've always been really, really impressed by it. And it's open. It's not open air seating. It's just that the restaurant isn't enclosed. So it doesn't feel too, I don't know, it feels very open, but it doesn't feel awkward to be there solo in any stretch of the imagination. And the restaurant is so big that there are so many different types of people and parties that are happening that it's just kind of nice to people watch. Kona Cafe also has a mobile order for you to pick up and take to go, which is a good option if you're staying there. But I don't necessarily think you need to do that if you're just coming to visit for the day, because there isn't a lot of other seating other than by the pool, which, as I talked about, you can't get to if you're not staying there. Then right across from Kona Cafe is the Tambu Lounge. Now, there is a nice big bar there. Again, think 1970s bar culture. A big giant bar there that really feels the most like a bar than a lot of other places on Disney property. Maybe I just associate it with my grandparents being at bars like that back in the day, but there's this nice big bar, and there's also a lounge tucked in there where you can order a lot of food. Now you can order a lot of food, but there's not a lot of seats. So I have gone to try and go to the lounge there a few times, but I don't ever really see the lounge. And I think it's because you have to go past the actual bar and like check out the seating there. I could also just ask somebody, because I am obviously not opposed to asking people, but it's always just so busy that I'm always like on the fence about whether or not I should even stay. And so far I have decided not to. Now, Ohana's, which is the restaurant attached to this lounge, is something that you probably have heard a lot about. It is a very popular restaurant. You can do a character family style meal in the morning with the Lilo and Stitch gang, and then in the evening it's like Asian Pacific type of food. It's also family style, and if you listen to the podcast for a while, you know that I'm not a big fan of family style unless you are there with a whole bunch of people. As a solo, family style just kind of feels wasteful in a way that buffets don't actually. Now, one exception is the Diamond Horseshoe at Magic Kingdom, and that was a recommendation from Matt Richardson, who is a friend of the podcast, who's been on a couple times, and I would highly recommend that one. But going here as a solo, I don't know. I feel family style can be wasteful. But all of the items that you can get on that menu, you can get in the lounge. And so it is worth, if you are interested in trying the food, to try to get a spot in the lounge. And maybe it's not that difficult to get a spot in the lounge, especially if you go early. But in my experience, it's been a really busy area. Now, I haven't been to Ohana's. Okay, I did go once about 17 years ago, but it was before it was family style and it was before it was a character meal. But I haven't been to Ohana's in its current incarnation ever. And it's because as a non-pork eater and someone with a pineapple allergy and someone who doesn't care about Lilo and Stitch, with all due respect, it's just like not a place that I am going to go and check out. But that's what's great about solo travel. Like you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. Like you go and experience whatever you want to experience. So if you much rather go and hang out on the tiki terrace and order some sushi, outside looking at the water, that's great. Do that. Even if everybody online talks about how great the noodles are at Ohana, that's not what you're interested in. That's not what you're interested in. So I did a VIP tour on my last trip to Disney, and that is what I'll be talking about on Patreon, etc. And I was able to ride rides I've never ridden before because I haven't been interested in them. So why would I wait in line? And it was really cool to experience those rides. But for a lot of them, I was like, I don't need to ride them again. Like, I'm glad I did this, but I don't need to ride them again. And it was just a really nice reminder of like when you travel by yourself, the ways that you can pick and choose the things that you already have a sense that you're going to enjoy, and to not do things that you're not going to enjoy. Even though, of course, I enjoyed everything, but you know what I mean. Like, and the other thing is, some people don't actually know what they enjoy or what they don't enjoy because you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that thinking. And solo travel also allows you to make those decisions and kind of figure that out. So again, like, don't feel like you need to be super influenced by people on the internet about, oh, definitely do this and definitely go there and definitely eat this. Because if you're like, I don't really like this type of food in my regular life, it's not like you're going to start liking it at Disney. Although I will say the flip side of that, Disney is a great place to try things that you've never tried before, and it's worth trying things. So it's a bit of a, you're kind of in the middle. It's a bit of push and pull. On one hand, it's a really great place to like push yourself and try things. On the other hand, being at Disney by yourself allows you to filter out the things that you know you're just going to love. And I think the best type of solo trip is when you get that balance it's perfect. When you get that balance of, yeah, I got to try these new things and I also got to do all of my favorites, like I think that's the great balance. And I think at Polynesian, because there's so many different types of interesting food, you can actually hit that balance all at that resort in terms of food, for example. So that's one of the reasons why I think you should go and check it out. I've had such delicious things there, and then things that I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going to be into that. Like a Stitch character breakfast family style is just not something I'm going to enjoy, but I will try this like different type of sushi because I know I'm at Disney. I know the risk to try something is low, and I do like sushi. But I'm going to try this different kind because I'm at Disney, so that's the best type of middle ground between a solo vacation at Disney World in particular. Let's go talk about the new tower. So the new tower, which is just a short walk, is just absolutely beautiful. It is it is everything people are designing hotels to be in this decade. It is just absolutely gorgeous, but you can't see much of it. So even though when it was open, there was a lot of promotional stuff about people going and looking on these different viewing platforms, the fact is you can't go up in the hotel and check out those viewing platforms or check out the hallways or the art in the hotel itself unless you are staying there. Now, I did kind of accidentally, like I didn't realize I was tailgating people into the hotel, into the elevator, and then get off on their floor. Like I didn't realize that they were getting in the elevator because they were staying there and I just happened to be behind them. But when I started looking around and then wanted to go up to other floors, it was really clear on the elevator I couldn't go any further. And so again, I'm okay walking around if I can get through, but I wasn't going to sneak around if I wasn't allowed, and so I went back down to the lobby. And this makes sense. It makes sense about the pool. It made sense about the elevator because it is so close to Magic Kingdom. It is a really appealing place for the guests of Magic Kingdom to come to the Polynesian and watch the fireworks from there or to go swim in the pool. And I think when you're solo, it's actually, it's okay to maybe do those things quietly because you're just one person, but most people aren't just one person, right? They're like a whole big family. So, you can't quite see those spaces until you are staying at the tower. But if you are staying at the tower and you do get to see those viewing platforms, please send me pictures. I'm so intrigued. But there is this beautiful bar lounge on the first floor that is open to everyone. There's indoor seating, but there's outdoor seating. And the outdoor seating is very shaded and very comfortable despite the heat. There's these infinity pools that look out on Seven Seas Lagoon. You can see the castle. Oh my God, A+. Food, fine. I don't know, a B, but the view, A+. And I would go back just for the view. I didn't think the food was anything spectacular, especially in relationship to the price, but it was fine. I enjoyed it, but I would go back for the view. There's nothing memorable about the food, although I did have shrimp on the salad that I have, and that it was some of the best shrimp I've ever had, but I don't really remember much about the meal. I do remember the view and feeling just enjoying the view so much. And so, yeah, definitely go and check that out solo. If you're interested in art, they have some really cool art installations in the lobby. If you're interested in architecture, the same thing. So it's totally worth going to check out. All right, I think this is a good place to stop. And let's go over to Mikki to hear about her experiences staying at the Polynesian. She was wonderful as always. So let's go over there. Hey, Mikki, I'm so glad to have you back. Thank you so much for coming to talk about the Polynesian.
Glad to be back. It's a great resort. I love it.
And I love that you're like a Florida local. And so your stays are like extra deluxe if you are like, oh, well, sure, I'll stay in a hotel an hour away from my house.
Sometimes, yeah, I take advantage of the deluxe resorts at least once a year. And then, like I told you before, sometimes I'll definitely mix in the moderates, the values, and even off property. But to be able to stay on property and be an owner at DVC of Poly just makes it that much better when I can stay there.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a DVC member too. And
Mhm.
we're going to talk to a couple DVC owners, and so maybe we'll follow back up about what it's like to own DVC. Was this when you've stayed at Polynesian, has it all been part of your DVC points, or has
Yeah,
it been like a regular type of booking as well?
100% points.
Ooh,
All
look at
points.
you.
It was in December of 2020. So it's the COVID after we reopened. We had I think it was 2020 or 20 or 21, because we had the abridged Christmas party too. It wasn't the big Mickey's Very Merry. It was a different party and different thing. Like it was
Yeah.
such a weird year that year.
It was a weird year, and you were going through a lot of stuff that year too, as we talked about in your other episode.
Yeah, I was what chemo done
Yeah.
with chemo in April, so I'd been removed from all that for a little while, and I was finally getting back to just going to enjoy the parks and do my thing.
Yeah. And be a DVC member, which is cool. So let's talk about Polynesian and staying there. So I just did the whole episode about the Polynesian and kind of the layout, but what has been your experience like staying there? When I talk about the deluxe resorts, I often like to think about things like, getting a quick breakfast or getting something in the evening or even just kind of the layout and how that feels for solos. So I don't know where you kind of want to jump in. What's your overall
Sure.
impression when you think of Polly and your experiences staying there?
To me, it's very walkable, especially
Mm.
when you compare the size of Poly or even Grand Floridian or Contemporary versus the original, like Old Key West or Saratoga. Those are huge, spaced out, and you can walk them, and I do. I walk those as well. But now you're talking, oh, I got to take a 10, 15-minute walk to get from my room to the lobby to be able to get a full breakfast or something. Versus at Poly, even if you're at Moria like I was, which is the furthest away from the ceremonial house, it was maybe a 5-minute walk at that in these beautifully green, lush areas. You have the tiki torches burning if you're there at night, and you can get to Captain Cook's. You can get to the pineapple lanai. You want to get some late night Dole Whip. You got it right there at your own resort, and I love Dole Whip, so I'm going to take advantage.
And I just want to clarify when you said the original, you mean like original DVC resorts, like Old Key West and
Yes,
Saratoga, because the Polynesian and the Contemporary are the
are the
OG
first two
hotels,
resorts.
which are so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and say DVC was added to Poly only about, I want to say 15, 20 years ago is when
Right.
it got added in. And at that point, it was just the rooms. It's
Hmm.
not like you were getting the new villa style rooms and stuff that are over in the new tower. They were the regular, studio rooms and stuff like that. So it's different than some of your other DVC resorts that I've stayed at too, where you have much larger rooms, especially at like Old Key West. Those rooms are huge, even their studios versus this is a more regular room, but there are other benefits. Like for at Moria, you get two bathrooms. Now the set I should say you get one in what would they call it? One
Like
and a
one and a
half
half, right?
or 1 3/4 kind of thing. No, there isn't a toilet in the second one, but there's a stand-up shower with the rainfall water head and all that kind of stuff in there. Um,
And is
I
that
think
in a
you even have
studio or in a one bedroom?
it's a studio. It's a studio. As far as it's declared as a studio. And then you still have a full size regular bathroom with a tub, stand up shower combo unit, and huge vanity in that one and everything. So it was really nice to have both because depending on what I was doing,
Yeah.
use one shower or the other.
You're like,
Um,
I don't want to disturb the other bathroom right now. I'm going to go use this bathroom.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It was like, okay. Or you'd come back from, a day at the park and you're like, you know what? I just want to kind of sit and soak. So
Yeah.
I'll fill up the tub and just sit there and soak for a little while. Or, oh, I want to take advantage of that rainfall water head and I'll go to
I
that
don't
one.
even like a rainfall shower head. I think I think they're stupid because you can't wash your hair. But I would totally, every time I'm in a hotel room with one of them, I'm just like, well, let's give it another shot. Let's have a spa experience. So I would be using all of them.
Yeah, because it definitely wasn't my area to wash my hair. That was I
Yeah.
just want to be drenched in the water and have that feeling of everything. So that was so good. And you got, pretty sure I had king size bed in there and everything's, and you have chairs and a table. It's
A very comfortable
such
room.
such an upgrade. Yeah, such a different kind of room.
In comparison to the other rooms in the Polynesian, or in comparison to just like a moderate room?
To a moderate room, like the moderate
Mm.
rooms at like really Port Orleans. I just stayed there last year for Christmas. Port Orleans, I got the room that had two queens. You got the little table and the two chairs, but it's not the same quality
Yeah.
of stuff. I mean, they are nice, but I was even not in one of the renovated rooms. I was in one of the rooms that was yet to be renovated, and they're doing massive renovations over there at Port Orleans right now.
And you mentioned the building that you stayed in at Polynesian. So can you talk a little bit about that kind of setup, the different buildings that are there, if there's any pros and cons to particular buildings, especially for solos?
So there's definitely pros to certain buildings, like Moria, Hawaii, um,
She's
and
looking at a
then
map, everyone, right now.
yes,
That's
I'm
for
using the
those of
map
you.
because I
So
can't
just
remember all the names
yeah.
of these buildings.
So just a reminder that you can watch our conversations on Patreon. But for those of you who are listening, it's so helpful to have the map in front of you. And so Mickey's also looking at the map while we're
So
talking.
mainly Moria and Hawaii have this advantage because they're the big long buildings, and one side of the building faces Bay Lake,
Right.
or faces Seven Seas Lagoon. The other side faces obviously the greenery. And if you're on the side that faces the Seven Seas Lagoon, you can watch the fireworks from your balcony. And I got to tell you, when I checked in that day, I was like, all right, I'm in Moria, and I was trying to figure out where I was because it was my first time staying there. I'm like, oh, geez, I'm all the way over here. This is not so great. I'm going to be right by the ferries and all this kind of stuff. And then I went in and I'm like, right, third floor, and I go all the way to the end of the building, and I look, and I'm like, if I just got the other side of the hall, I'd have fireworks view the whole time. But I had the side that was the greenery, the garden view, as they would call it,
Right, right.
and it was still beautiful. And the you go out there on the balcony, it's just gorgeous to be out there. But if I'd just been on the other side of the building, you would be able to watch the fireworks from your room. With Moria, also you have the beach right out front outside of you, and you have all the bungalows right outside of you.
Ooh, right. And you can go and sit on the beach and watch the fireworks too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've watched the fireworks from that beach a number of times, whether I was staying there or not. I oh, just a little secret tip, folks. If you're staying at Poly, if you follow the path along the beach and you let it go loop back, or however you want to look at it, it kind of forms an island in the middle of part of this path. There's a walkway to go up top of that hill. And if you go up top of that hill, you're now above the bungalows, above everything, and you can see perfectly over to Magic Kingdom with nothing obstructing your view for the fireworks.
Oh, I love that little secret tip.
And not every, most people don't go out there. Most people actually hang out behind the lava pool and the marina area there, and where the beach is with the volleyball courts. That's where most people hang out for the fireworks. And you can usually go up there and have very few other people with you up there. And like I said, now you're able to look over top of, so you have nothing in your way for the bungalows.
You know, I mean, I talk on the podcast so much about like when you're there solo, it's so easy to go and like explore some things that you wouldn't if you had kids with you or you had a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
people with you, you're like, ah, are we all gonna figure this out? Sometimes that's fun, but a lot of times it's like a whole thing. So it's cool if you're there when you're there by yourself to go and kind of explore that because of course you can go and check that place out to go watch the fireworks if you're not staying at Polynesian.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done it. I've done it multiple times, not staying at Polynesian, especially during Enchantment, because that was not my favorite fireworks show.
Right.
I'd rather watch it from across across
Right.
the
So when I think of Polynesian, well, actually, everyone just heard my very long exploratory episode where I was talking about why I feel the Polynesian is haunted in like really interesting ways. But
Yes.
so another thing that when I think of the Polynesian, I think of it all kind of pushed, like not pushed, but like Polynesian, Grand Floridian, Magic Kingdom, and I like kind of in my brain it kind of stops like at the pool just because those are rooms on the other side. But if you keep
Mhm.
walking you go to the ticket and transportation center, and I'm
Yeah,
sure you can, like you said, see the ferries, but can you like hear them? Like
yeah,
what's that like?
yeah. You can hear them blowing their whistles
Okay.
anytime you're in the room, especially if you're down there in Moria, or if you're in the bungalows, you're going to hear them really well. Moria is past the pool. If you're coming from the Grand Floridian, you'd hit the lava pool, then the Oasis pool, and then you'd get to Moria, because Moria is the last building of the complex. And I was on the farther end from the ferry boat, but you can be literally right there where the ferry boat is, 100 yards from your room,
Wow.
potentially. But you don't like. I was worried I was going to hear it all the time, and
Right.
I didn't. Like I heard it if I was in the room and I was awake, but it didn't keep me up at night. Even though they would be running all the way till 1 a.m. They'd start back up at like 5:30, 6 a.m., and they weren't waking me up. There's a benefit though to it for me. Instead of having to walk from my room all the way over to the grand ceremonial house to then get on the monorail to get to Magic, I could take the shorter walk to the TTC and go get on the ferry or get it on the monorail there.
Right.
Especially if you want to go to Epcot, you're much better any place
For
inside of
sure.
Poly. Just walk straight over to the TTC, go through their security, and then just jump the monorail to Epcot, because there are no buses for Magic or Epcot from here at all. At Poly, you only have buses for Disney Springs, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios. Those are the only places you got buses for.
Right. That's a really good tip to do that walk, especially for Epcot. Like I hadn't really thought of that. Yeah, I just thought like, of course you would do the monorail, but no, of course that you're so close to the Ticket and Transportation Center. I think of it so much as like a parking lot, although I don't know why I've never parked there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And if you did, from especially like from Moria, if you walked from Moria back to the Grand Ceremonial House, got on the monorail to then go to Epcot, you would then get off at TTC,
Right.
switch monorails.
Right.
So you've gone one stop forward. No, well, yeah, wait, is it? I gotta think. No, you'd actually go the other direction. So if you got
It's
on,
so
yeah,
ridiculous.
I had to think for a second. No, if you got on at the Grand Ceremonial House, you would go to Grand Floridian, then to Magic, then to Contemporary, and then finally to the TCC. So you're gonna take longer using the monorail to then go to Epcot if you use the one at the Ceremonial House versus just walk over to TTC. And they have signs there that label everything: this way to the TTC, this way to the ferries, this way to, and they have their own little ferry too. The Poly, the Grand Floridian, much like any of the ones that are there, either on Bay Lake or on Seven Seas Lagoon, you have your own little ferry that'll take you straight to Magic Kingdom as well.
Yeah, I love that boat. That little boat, that little triangle of stops is one of my favorite things at Walt Disney Resort. When like I was getting a massage and it was really hurting, and they were like, "Well, picture a happy place," and I just like thought of myself on that boat. I just love that boat so much.
I actually like the boat I prefer is the one from Magic all the way over to Wilderness Lodge,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's a longer ride. And I don't know why, because I've been on the buses, I've gone how you do the little dip as you go towards the Contemporary, and you have the little overpass. Until I got on that boat, I didn't realize that that overpass is for the boats. That's the connector
yeah,
between Bay Lake and Seven
yeah.
Seas Lagoon. And like I had never realized it till I rode the boat. And I was like, oh
Yes,
wait, that's
and
what
that
this
and that is
is.
like ancient Roman technology. And
Yeah.
I said in that particular episode, like, hopefully you have a good captain that will explain it to you. I'm like, I'm not going to do a good job of explaining it, but just like, no, it's a cool waterway. It's old, it's ancient. They designed it. Hopefully someone can explain it to you better.
It's so true though.
Okay, so with the Polynesian, I also sometimes think of it as very busy with a lot of kind of bottlenecks around food places. So you mentioned Captain Cook's, which is the quick service, which is one of my favorite quick service restaurants, by the way.
By
But
far.
when I think of some of the other restaurants or other spots to congregate around food, I think of them as very busy. Has that been your experience staying there since you can go on kind of times that are a little less, peak times?
So yes and no. Like Captain Cook's, you can definitely plan yourself around and figure out when to hit that. The Trader Sam's outdoor seating,
Mm-hmm.
and you can plan your time around
Yeah,
and definitely make that work for you. Um, the one that's the most dangerous for quick service though is pineapple lanai.
right.
There, there's no rhyme or reason. I've gone there and had nobody at all there, or like two people, and then by the time I got my Dole Whip and step away, there are 50 people now lined up. And I'm going, it's 2 in the afternoon. Or the next, and then
Happened.
2 days later, it'll be 8 o'clock at night that the same thing happened. I'm going, am I just getting silly lucky that I'm able to walk up at just the right moment? Because everybody else also decided they wanted Dole Whip now. Um, Captain Cooks can definitely get busy at your peak hours though. Your breakfast, perfect breakfast window, your perfect lunch window, and then your
Right,
perfect
right.
dinner window. But after that, it's usually pretty easy to get out until the end of the night. Once we're talking Magic Kingdom's closing, you're getting the people that are getting their late night snacks. It can get very busy. But upstairs at Ohana and at the
Mara Cafe.
Bamboo Lounge,
Oh, Tambu
because
Lounge.
Tambu is connected to Ohana. You
Right.
share the same kitchen. You can get almost half of Ohana's menu over there, which is another excellent tip for solos. Is like you want the noodles, you want the bread pudding, but you don't want to pay an Ohana reservation. Just go to Tambu Lounge, sit down, have a drink, but it's very small. That
So
that
I
area
said
is
that
super
exact
small.
thing in the episode. I was like, I'm pretty sure, even though the noodles aren't on the menu, you can get them, but I'm unclear where that seating is. So just you're gonna have to like wind your way in because it's very busy.
Yeah, you have the horseshoe of the bar and then a few tables on the right side of the bar, and that's it. That is officially part of the lounge. A lot of people though will go order and step just outside the lounge in those all the seating that's there for people waiting
The
to get
waiting.
into
Yeah.
Ohana. A lot of people will take their stuff right over there too. Um, and then Kona, I've never had an issue with Kona outside of just the people waiting to get seated at
Yes,
certain
yes.
times a day. But otherwise, as long as you've made your reservation, don't expect to be able to walk up often to Kona and get a
That's a good
table.
point.
You definitely want to make that advanced dining reservation for it. But on the off seasons, so if you're looking at like early September, um, mid October, or non-race weekends in January and February, you can walk up and get a table relatively decent. But they've now made them a to-go option too. So you
Yeah, I
can
saw
order
that.
most of their menu and just do mobile order and pick it up and go. But it's only people who are staying at the Poly can do the mobile order, just like you can only mobile order over at the Grand Floridian's quick service if you're staying. And
Right.
it MDE is connected really well. It knows if you have that reservation because I have tried.
It's the same thing with the Riviera. Like I was at Caribbean and I just walked over. As I was walking over, I'm like, I'll just order the food so I can pick it up. And they were
Yeah,
like, No, you're not staying here. But
no
I
soup
I
for
had
you.
said like Kona, I've always had good food there. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Like surprised, like I'm always surprised about how much I've enjoyed it. But that's a good point about the reservations. I do find though that you can often get kind of a last minute reservation. So that's also a good thing that if you think you want to go try it, just like look in the afternoon to see if there's any reservations. And just a reminder that it's okay to book a reservation for two because it's the same table
Yep.
as if you're going one, but don't do it for like four or six or
No.
that's
There
for
there have been a number of times where I've had to book reservations for two because when I do a one,
There's nothing.
It shows nothing, or it shows time slots that are way away from where I want. And with the new update to MDE, you can see all the other time slots there that are just grayed out. So I switch it to 2, and all those magically
Yeah.
open. I'm like, it's the exact same table,
Exact same
people.
table. Exact
Exact
same
same
table.
table. I just did it for Topolino's breakfast, actually, just a few days ago. That's
Yeah.
how I got my Topolino's breakfast. Did a 2 reservation.
Yeah, and I mean, I always tell people like, don't feel guilty. This is a computer that's doing this stuff. It's not like you
Mhm.
are hacking the system. You're just
No,
using your human logic brain, and
no.
you're not taking anything away from anybody.
Yeah. The only place, obviously, not to do that is going to be Cinderella's Royal Table,
Right. Right.
because
Yes.
it is
Yes.
a prefix, pre-charged to
Yes.
you reservation. And the other one not to do is a DVC exclusive. So only DVC members does this affect. It would be the Villain's Lair at the top of Bay Lake Tower. That one is
Mm.
also a prefix, pre-done menu if you're doing the Wicked Wind Down. You can walk up to the Villain's Lair, but they will verify that you are a DVC member in order to even let you in. And if they are full with reservations, you're not even getting in. It's the way it is, because I just
Yeah.
did that one on my trip too.
I know, I saw pictures of that. Again, we'll have to talk about that. Okay, let's go back to the Polynesian for a second. How about the amenities that are just for people who stay there? I don't know if you swim in the pools. There's the big pool with the water slide. There's a quiet pool,
Mhm.
which is the Oasis. There's a third pool now with the new tower,
Yeah.
the gym, which you and I have been texting about to be. I was like, when I did the contemporary episode, and I was like, "Where's the gym?" So I have kind of an idea of where the Polynesian gym is, but before we were recording, you said that they had changed it. So can you talk about those amenities if you've used
Sure.
them or your impression of them?
Yeah. So the Oasis pool, or the quiet pool at the original Poly resort, is so cool because it has full size cabanas there too. So you can have really nice shade. It is relatively chill, relatively quiet. They do have a hot tub at that one as well. So you have that benefit that you don't have over at the lava pool. The lava pool can get very busy, but you got the really cool looking water slide that is a volcano. See, I mean, that's
Cool.
top notch looking stuff there. They also have the splash pad there, and it's a very large splash pad that they built there. And then when you now go over to the Cove pool, which is at the tower, the Cove pool is a pool. It's almost a quiet pool, but not quite, because it is a larger size pool. It's bigger than the Oasis pool. There's no water slides, there's none of that stuff going on, but it has its own splash pad that's Moana themed. And they
Right.
built Moana's full boat with Moana on it and Pua and everything. So it's beautiful, beautifully done. Next to the Cove pool is where the gym got relocated. So the gym is now in the island tower. You have to walk all the way over there for some of us, depending on where you are. If you're not at the island tower, you're going to maybe walk from like where I was in Moria all the way over. Previously, though, the pool used to be, or the gym used to be near the Oasis pool. So behind the Oasis pool, you have Lilo's Playhouse, which is a area that you can take your little kiddos. For those of us who are solo traveling, not a big deal. That's where the gym originally was.
Mm.
It was in that building, and now you're going all the way over. But the gym is brand new. It's got all new equipment. It's very pretty, and they do have a water bottle station outside of it too, so you can
Ooh.
refill your water bottles there. And on top of that, they added a Coke freestyle machine right next to it as well. So you can get ice and water from it, or get the water from the bottle refill station.
Oh, that's great. I guess the Coke Freestyle also has like sometimes they have Powerade options.
Yes, but if you don't have
Your
the
resort
refillable
mug.
mug, right?
Right.
So if you're just taking like, a big Stanley type mug or something like that, or just a regular water bottle you're taking like to the gym or even to the parks in general, that is something that I really appreciate. Is if I'm walking around with a water bottle, instead of trying to go to a water fountain or even a regular water bottle refill, where we don't have many at Disney, to be
Yeah.
honest, right now. I love it when I can find a Coke Freestyle, because I can get the ice, I can get the water right from a freestyle a little easier than getting it from like the regular, Coke vending machines.
Totally, totally. I have had problems sometimes getting free water from the Coke Freestyle machine, but when I've asked cast members, like at a quick service restaurant, they are very well, like they help me very quickly. So I just want to put that out there for everyone listening to be just to like know that you can get free water always.
Yeah. Oh, every quick service restaurant I mean, I used it a lot. I just got back from a week there, and every place that I would stop was, can I have a cup of ice water, please?
Yeah.
Because it's very warm out there in the summer. One of the other benefits that I like, one of the other amenities of Poly is the beach.
Mm.
And while you don't swim in Seven Seas Lagoon, and it actually kind of freaks me out that we used to swim in Seven Seas
I know,
Lagoon.
it's so weird.
It's
And Bay Lake.
Yeah, yeah, very, very weird. But even I can remember going in the early 2000s, and while I wasn't staying at Poly or something at that point, it was one of those add-ons you could do to any hotel stay. You could add parasailing in Seven Seas Lagoon. That was still happening
Yes,
in the
so
late 90s and early 2000s.
my former partner had cancer in 2015, and I was taking care of him, and he's not dead. When I say former partner, I don't mean he's dead. I just always feel like I need to preface
It's not
that part of the
together.
story. Right. So we were talking about like, ooh, after chemo, after radiation, we should plan this big Disney trip. And so when we had gone together as partners, we would always get the dining plan. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
you can also get this package with parasailing, with this, with this, with this. So I had all these like parasailing trips planned in 2015 that we never did because he's also cheap. But I was like,
which
that
was
wasn't
also
that
about
long
the
ago. And I
but that was also
still,
about the end of it, because it
yes,
it ended before COVID, like 2015,
yeah,
2016, 2017. Right in there is where all of that was shut down. And that shut down even before the incident
yes, the incident.
that we won't get too much into.
Yeah.
But that's why we have all the protections now around the beach and everything. I will say though, another this is a personal drawback, personal to me. With the building of the island tower, we lost a lot of beachfront, and we
Hmm.
lost a beautiful walking area. That was also one of the wedding areas you could book. Was that beach that was where the island tower is now was
Yeah.
a wedding location.
And the luau location.
Yes, the luau is gone too because of that. The luau location is where the Cove Pool sits now.
Right, right. So let me ask you, I don't know if this is controversial, but now that the tower is done, what do you think of it? Because I know a lot of people were like, it's just a pretty boring looking tower.
Yeah.
And I have thoughts now that it's finished. I'm interested in what your thoughts are.
So I went when they first announced it and they showed the initial, you know,
Renderings.
renderings of it. Yes, I was like, it's a Marriott.
Right.
It looked so much like a Marriott. They did a good job of helping make it merge a little bit better with the poly. It's still, you look at it and you're like, that's not part of the original poly. It's very obvious, not only because it's much brighter in colors because it's
Yeah,
brand
yeah.
new, but its architecture isn't the same style. It is architecture of what a lot of resorts are building now in Hawaii. I'm
Hmm.
not going to say like it does match current vibes of Hawaii, but um, having been in it multiple times now, I've walked through it. I've gone through as much of it as I'm allowed to get through. Even as a DVC member, there's areas that are blocked off if you're not a resort guest. Um, it's beautiful indoor. They have floor to ceiling murals done of Moana stuff. Like they have the crab, can't think of his name right now, but the crab from Moana, he's part of a whole mural that's in the lobby and stuff. The part I want to see though are the two open air lobbies on the second and fourth floors. And you cannot get to them without a magic band that has a reservation associated that you can tap in the elevator to be able to go anywhere.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. So I went to the tower because I wanted to see those very spots, thinking to myself, I'm surprised there isn't a line of people going to see these spots. And I didn't mean to tailgate someone into the elevator, but I did because I didn't
Mhm.
realize it was security. I just thought I was going with these people. So there are open air lobbies on the other side, not facing Magic Kingdom, but they are much smaller. And so I
Mhm.
did get to see one of those, and I was like, "Ooh, this is so cool in here. It's so interesting." I hope it gets used. Like it seemed like a great place to curl up with a book and read, although I don't know how many people curl up with a book and read these days. Although anyway,
With a
and
Kindle.
pardon?
With a Kindle, a lot of I
Yeah, 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 with a
saw a lot of
Kindle.
people with Kindles.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, great. Well, I want to go see the other things. And I'm like pressing the buttons and it's like, no. And I just was like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And like, look, I'm okay with breaking some of the rules, but I like to know when I'm breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to leave. And I talked to a cast member and I had said, like, can I go upstairs? And she said, well, you can ask the DVC people, but probably not. And that's fine. I appreciate there's rules. So
Yeah. I have yet to ask the DVC people because every time I have been over there, the DVC people are busy selling and setting up stuff. I'm like,
right.
no, they're occupied. If I get over there one of these days and the DVC person is doing nothing, I'm gonna go, hey, I'm a DVC owner at the Poly. Can you please give me
Yeah, I'm
access so
surprised
I
you
can
didn't
go
get a
look?
chance to do previews or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had early access to book. We actually had 2 months ahead of
Yeah.
everybody else
Right.
had
Yes.
access to book it. But I was like, no, that the point values also are much higher if you are a DVC member for the tower than they are for the rest of the
Yeah.
Poly.
Yeah.
But Poly is still, period, one of the highest DVC point value resorts to be able to stay at.
Right.
It's not a cheap one. I think the lowest I've seen is 19 points a night. So
Right.
you're not gonna get you're not gonna get for somebody like me who is a low level DVC member, I'm not gonna get many nights over there. That's why I spend so much time at other resorts when I stay.
Yeah. Mickey, this was really wonderful. Is there anything else you want people to know about staying at the Polynesian if you're solo?
If you're a character person like me, please do Ohana. It's one of the most magical breakfasts that you can do with characters because it's Lilo, Stitch, Mickey, Pluto, and they have random pop-ups, and they now have PhotoPass showing up at all the deluxe resorts.
Oh,
But
that's great.
for the Poly, they either are doing it right there in front of the tiki in the lobby,
Hmm.
and if you get the right person, which I have a few times, they will wander with you. So I have
Love
gone
it.
out behind the ceremonial house and got photos. Just a few weeks ago, when my friend was in town and we did breakfast at Ohana with her kids, we ended up getting a photo pass person. They were like, where do you want to take photos? We were like, can we take some over by the tower? Sure. So we walked all the way over to the tower to get photos
Wow.
by the tower and stuff. And it's so cool when, because a lot of times the photo pass people at these deluxe resorts aren't super occupied at the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So they're willing to roam with you, and they're allowed to roam. They're allowed to roam as long as they aren't set to be, you must be at the tiki. You can roam, and they'll have a good time taking photos any place on that property.
That's fun. That's great. And Ohana is family style though, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
is family style, but if you go as a solo, they reduce everything down to
Right.
your size. Not to say that Ohana is cheap. Ohana is I'd say a middle of the tier, slightly above middle tier
Yeah.
character meal price. But I've done it as a solo. I've done it with my daughter multiple times. I've done it with partners. I've done it with friends. And it's such a fun character meal. And breakfast is always cheaper for character meals. They don't have characters at night, but their dinner is still more expensive than
Yeah.
their character meal breakfast is.
Yeah. I have never been to Ohana for breakfast. I'm not a Lilo and Stitch fan, but I also can't eat pineapple and I don't eat pork. So I was saying in the episode that I'm just like, eh, 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 eh.
So yeah, that knocks out about half of the breakfast
Yeah,
menu.
that's right. That's right. I was like, so if I was going to go, I'd have to go with someone that likes any and all of those things to really appreciate
So
it. So I'm
no,
glad that you spoke so highly of it.
but not necessarily. Remember, they are super good on dietary restrictions and stuff. So if you were there for breakfast and you said, "Hey, whether it's I don't like it or I'm allergic to it," so the pineapple bread, they can't get rid of the pineapple from the pineapple bread, obviously. But the pineapple that they throw over top of the ham and stuff, they wouldn't do that for you. You'd be able to
Well, they
still
wouldn't do
get
that
the
because I wouldn't eat the
breakfast.
ham either. They could do it.
Oh,
I just.
so and because I've done that with multiple locations where I've said, "Hey, I don't like the bacon," especially since they switched to the new thin yucky bacon. Used
Right.
to be we had thick cut oven baked bacon at
Right.
the character meals. So I'll just go like, "Can I have extra sausage or can I have extra Mickey waffles because I don't like your potatoes?" And they will any of the family styles, they will swap stuff out without even batting an eyelash at you.
Yeah, I've had good luck when I have done that. Everyone's been really great, but I just feel like a when there's like three things of pork and pineapple
Yeah.
on the platter, it's like, you know what? It's fine. This might not be the best use of my money.
No, but go downstairs to Captain Cook's and get the Tonga Toast because you
Oh
can get
yes.
Tonga
Oh,
Toast
I
there as
love
well
Tonga.
as at Kona Cafe.
Yeah, yeah. I love Captain Cook's. I think it's so underrated. So, Mickey, this was so wonderful. Thank you again for agreeing to come on the podcast. We should talk about DVC another time, and I'm sure we'll talk about something else coming up.
Happy to.
Yep. All right. See you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. A big thanks to my special guest for talking about their experiences staying at this deluxe resort. If you want to support them as well as me, please make sure you follow us on our social media channels. The links to those are in the description below. You can also find a link to my Patreon. And in the Patreon, when you become a Patreon member, you can watch our conversation, the whole conversation of us talking. And I always find that that is a great way to just get even more enmeshed into the community of Disney adults and how wonderful it is to go to Disney solo. The Patreon membership is really affordable. It's about $1 a week for Americans and $1.25 a week for Canadians, and you get the videos from all the solo stories, reflections on each one of the episodes, as well as opportunities to vote on future episodes and a breakdown of all of the different upcoming episodes. There's also some bonus episodes that get thrown in every once in a while, and the more of you there are on Patreon, the more you can let me know what you need, and the more I can create those very things. You can also support the podcast by liking, reviewing, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast on all of the different platforms that this podcast is hosted on, which include Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!